We'll try to do a whiteboarding
Hmm.
session, which is an interactive design interview.
Hmm.
And you are working for um, travel and entertainment company. Let's assume Make My Trip for now,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And the problem that you are trying to solve for is design a product for discovery of international experiences, right?
Okay.
So when I say international experiences, if I travel to Turkey, one of the experience that I have there is probably on the eating side,
Hmm.
baklava, right?
Hmm.
Or on the hot air balloon ride, or
Hmm.
the traditional style of clay pot making,
Hmm.
right? Similarly, if you are traveling to Japan, then their traditional style of clothing or their traditional style of hand weaving, making their own jewelry are some things which are found with difficulty.
Hmm.
And the artists also who are really authentic and are in some countries they are trained, in the other countries they are not so certified or recognized by the government. So it's a
Hmm.
very fragmented choice.
Right.
Today, the platforms that you see like Airbnb,
Hmm.
they allow people to share experiences voluntarily. Like if you want to bring someone and teach them Madhubani style of painting in India,
Hmm.
right? They can sign themselves as providers or artists of that art form, and
Hmm.
the guests which are traveling with Airbnb can opt for those experiences,
Hmm.
right? So for Make My Trip, you have to design a solution which
Hmm.
can get these artists and these experiences providers onboarded.
Hmm.
On the customer side, what we are looking for is easy and relevant discovery of these experiences,
Hmm.
plus with a factor of trust.
Okay. Got it.
So uh, let's go ahead with the assumptions you'll make, right?
Sure.
And how would you go about tackling this?
Sure. Yeah. Great question. Firstly, I just have a few clarifying questions before I get into it. Would this be an integrated product with Make My Trip or something separate completely?
For now, think of it as a standalone product,
Okay.
right? But it can be navigated, something very similar to District or Zomato, where you can navigate from the platform to that external product as well. Like
So
on
Make My
Zomato.
Trip will have a icon somewhere of this.
Yes, like
Okay.
explore experiences and then it navigates you to that platform.
Understood. You mentioned that this product will help in onboarding, vendors for the niche, cultural art forms. Is the entire product just limited to onboarding and discovery for users, or is there scope for more, things as well? Like, are these the only two goals for this product right now?
To start off, it's onboarding and exploration of experiences, but
Okay.
the journey needs to be end to end. They should be able to book the experience,
Hmm.
right? If there is post experience feedback that they would want to log, that should also be available, right? And that is where you need to come up with a right definition of MVP.
Understood. Got it. Fine. And any constraints that we're working with, or nothing right now?
No constraint as such. Assume this is you have the right engineering resources and the data science resources with you, but we would want to have generative AI capabilities to make the experience really immersive.
Understood. Got it. And that is okay. Any other goal as a whole for Make My Trip as a whole that I should be cognizant of? So far, we're trying to make the discovery of niche travel experiences easier internationally, and we also want generative AI capabilities. Any other overarching goal that I should be mindful of?
I think we can also focus on overall revenue because that is what Make My Trip is trying to get with this, where
Okay,
the customer lifetime value per user increases.
understood. Fine. I think I've gone over my questions. Can you just give me a few minutes to
Yeah.
structure my thoughts and then we'll get there? All right, I have a basic structure ready. I'll just share my screen. That's okay, and we can go over it together.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, families, backpackers slash solo travelers, uh, individuals with high disposable income. Um, Couples as well. This is on the demand side. On the supply side, I recall you mentioned that you want to focus on, highlighting some of the more niche cultural, travel experiences that each country provides.
Yep.
So I think that itself becomes a user segment. Is it fair to assume that that is the entire segment that we need to look at on the supply side? Because we're trying to look at more rural, more cultural experiences, more of the local crowd rather than big businesses or medium enterprises. Or should I go into it a little deeper?
Do you think there'll be limitations with that?
Yeah, I think not all countries will have a very, technically savvy local crowd. But I think that's a problem that can be solved by, Make My Trip itself. We can go and educate them, onboard them manually. Though it'll be a little more effort, but since that is the niche we're picking exclusively, I think it makes sense. And that'll also make whatever this app is, whatever this product is, have that differentiating factor, is what I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So on the supply side, we'll pick the local artisans and, you know, um, yeah, about that. So in terms of the demand side users, I see all of these having capability of being a user for this new product that we're building out. All of them have the potential to want to seek out local cultural experiences. But I think to start off, it's better to narrow down and pick a certain category. So right off the bat, I would ideally eliminate families and couples because they're generally looking for more family oriented experiences, specific, things that's fun for everyone. They won't generally seek out more high taste things or cultural, things. Generally, I mean, obviously there are families who seek it out as well. I think the best audience for this new thing would be backpackers and solo travelers and individuals with higher disposable income because they'll be open to newer experiences. They're more they're not less risk averse. They're, open to trust something new and try it out, which will expose us to a greater, we'll have more usage at launch. And of course, it also aligns well with our overall goal of increasing revenue in the long run. So I think I'll pick both of these segments overall. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
fair
You can
enough?
highlight those.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to just go over some of the problems that both of our segments face, right? Um, so main thing is obviously which we're already solving, which we're intending to solve for is discovery. It's difficult to find these niche limited things that are in the insides of rural countries and towns. Most of the products that are in the market today focus on large experiences that bring in a lot of revenue that are well known to people. So discovery is obviously one of the biggest issues that we have right now. Trust, if they go online or they ask Reddit or any social media, there's very less trust on how their experience will be. Are they getting scammed? What When you're traveling, that's the last thing you want to run into, right? Issues in an unknown country that where you have no one else. So this is another major factor that is to be solved for. Um, I just need one more minute to think of a few more in-depth problems. Just give me one minute. Yeah. Apart from these two major this thing, with our specific segment of backpackers and individuals with higher disposable income, one thing that's very important is also social, you know, confirmation. Are are these experiences worth it? Have I, you know, is it worth my time and money on this trip that we're going for? And will I have enough time to explore all of these things? Right? There's a huge list of things you want to go for everything. So will I have enough time to go through all of this? And if not, what experiences should I prioritize the most? These are some of the biggest problems. And yeah, if I think if you agree with this, if you feel like I've missed something, let me know. If this makes sense so far, I'd like to just take another minute to come up with a set of solutions overall to solve for this. That'll be part of the design as well. And yeah, if that's all right, if there's any comments on
Yeah,
that,
these are good.
fine. All right. So I've gone over a few solutions. I'll also show you my ideology behind how I've prioritized the problems, right? I think discovery and trust are very important here. These are two of the biggest problems that we're trying to solve with this. This is one of the biggest. I put this at first and second. Um, is it worth time and money is third, because when we're curating very limited specific experiences, we need to ensure that people enjoy them and they aren't one of those small experiences that they didn't find that were very underwhelming, basically, right? And what experiences should I prioritize overall? This I'll put as fourth. uh, Social confirmation, I would ideally put this a little higher. But initially, when we're building a new platform, it's a little difficult to gather and have reviews on day one, right? So my idea behind the launch of this product is to focus on getting to those, people who are very open to trying new things, right? Backpackers and solo travelers don't really look for social confirmation immediately. So as we expand, we can rely on these initial few early adopters to share their experiences overall and get into it later. But I think initially we can keep this a little lower in priority, just because our user segment is that, risk, they have that risk ability, right? So the overall design I have for the product in mind, considering all of these, is first thing that we need to start with is vendor onboarding. This will be a curated man and managed marketplace where we'll have a team of people from Make My Trip who go to these. We'll pick up section of the top countries and cities that we want to focus on and onboard the experiences that we find and then we want to show. Initially, we don't. I think we shouldn't open it up to anyone to just sign up and show their experiences because we're trying to showcase a very limited and exquisite experiences overall. So this will be a very curated and managed marketplace by the team. Uh, we'll have very simple filtering, which will allow for easier discovery. Just location, dates, and reviews. That's it. I'm neglecting cost because we've chosen a very cost agnostic audience. So that is something that I'm neglecting. The next other features that I have in mind is an AI onboarding for the users to understand their tastes, their wants, and what they are mainly looking for, and then we can filter out and curate things for them accordingly. Uh, Now, this another idea that I have is on each listing that we have, right? We curate it in a way where we have a list of who this experience is for and why they should consider it, right? This can also involve AI, though initially I don't think it is needed because we've decided to manage it in a very curated manner. And why we should use it, right? And fifth option is that users can also ask questions to an AI to clarify and get for this.
Can you elaborate on the fourth and fifth one once?
Yeah, sure. So as we prioritized, one of our third problems that we prioritize is this experience worth my time and money, or and what experience should I prioritize over all these six, seven, or how many ever are there? So the idea is that in each listing, because we've curated it so much and we have so much knowledge on what these experiences involve, we can specifically have a section that talks about who this experience is for. Let's say it's as you mentioned, it's a small weaving workshop in rural India, right? So who is that experience for? People who enjoy art and history, people who have enough time. This is a workshop that will take 4 or 5 hours. So if you have that much time, only take it then. So it's a very transparent this thing where we're not trying to sell every experience. We're trying to narrow down your time, value your time and money, and only show you the best that's most relevant to you. Based on the AI onboarding, we'll pick the ones that are most relevant to them, but we'll still showcase that, hey, this is why we feel this is relevant for you, right? And why you should visit this. The fifth point is a slightly simple idea, not very, it's a very common thing where you just have a chatbot where you can talk to it and ask questions. But I think it's a very useful thing on something like this, something new and experimental where people can ask questions and get clarity. And yeah, I hope that helps.
Okay, yeah, that does. So I think
Hmm.
these are good solutions. Why don't
Hmm.
you, for now, let's ignore the supply side of things, which is the artisan onboarding, right?
Okay.
Let's look at two, three, four, five, which is simple filtering for the end user, AI user onboarding. Who is it, why they should visit, and the user can ask questions, right? Let's get to the execution of this. Walk me through a user workflow of how these things would work.
Sure, got it. Would you prefer if I like, do we have time to go over and make a quick prototype, or do you just want me to write it and show you and
Let's get
walk you?
let's get to the first workflow. If I have a clear understanding of what you
Mhm.
want to build,
Hmm.
while you are doing it, also try to craft a prompt that you can use to quickly generate the prototype of it.
Sure. Okay. Can I get 2 minutes to just structure it properly? Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. And keep in mind in this
Hmm.
2 to 5 where AI can add value versus where you can do it without using AI.
Okay, got it. Fine. Got it. All right. Yeah. So I think I have a decent workflow in mind. All right. So the first step obviously is to sign up, right? Typical sign up process with email, or we'll integrate Google Auth as well. And of course, Make My Trip account is already there. So if you already have a Make My Trip account, that'll just be easier. The next step is the actual onboarding where we understand, user tastes, preferences, like what kind of experiences do they like? Thrill seeking, calm, relaxed, romantic, all of those categories, right? So there's no AI at this step particularly. This is just for our understanding to have a database of it and structure their interests specifically at this particular stage, right? Once this is done, they can start by picking a city, right? Just immediately, like right off the bat, they can pick a city and just like to just see the experiences of that place. Um, Once they pick the city, here is where the AI onboarding aspect comes in. Based on the preferences that the user selected during the onboarding, and based on the data that we have already of all the experiences, and how we've categorized them, like who is this experience for, we can have an AI system where it understands the user's preference. We have our own prompt where we fine-tuned it with. It understands those preferences and curates a list of the top 3 or 5 experiences that it thinks are the most relevant to the user in particular. And uh, right, once it has done that, we, as I mentioned, right, we'll showcase who is it for and why we think that experience is relevant to them. So in each listing that we display on the platform itself, we have a short, like 2 3 bullets, like why it's relevant to them, right? Like, it's if they've selected thrilling, we will say that it's a very exciting, high adrenaline experience. People who have similar tastes like you like this booking and things like that. Basically, why it's relevant to them, right? They can go through all of these like a typical any travel website, how it's listed. We'll have a clear images, clear name of the thing and why it's relevant. And Once they've gone through and decided what they want to go ahead with, they can start booking. During the booking flow, a few crucial things that are important to keep in mind is that they obviously first select, there'll be different SKUs that they have. So pick a SKU, quantity, how many bookings you want, how many people are there. And once that's done, an important screen to have is screen of disclaimers or rules or any important information that is important for their travel experience. This eliminates a lot of the problems that come in later on with specifically with newer experiences. So if we upfront tell them, hey, these are the rules, keep these in mind, bring this with you, or keep aside this much time during your day for this experience, things like that. All of this will come back to the vendor onboarding, but since you've asked me to not look at that right now, I'm skipping it. But that's an assumption that I'm making that when we onboard someone, we'll have all this information with us already. Once the booking is done, we'll show a confirmation screen, send an email as well, and also try to showcase 2 to 3, similar experiences that we feel they might like, so they can quickly book their next experiences. That's where that ends. And also, once they come back to the home screen, we'll have a pinned call out for whatever upcoming bookings they have.
Okay. So let's build a bit on the golden set and evaluations, right? Can you give me some examples of golden set and evaluations that you'll add to this?
Sure. So in terms of golden sets, I would first curate a list of the top most commonly asked questions that people ask about booking experience, like the FAQs that people have, right? This is something that Make My Trip would have a plethora of data of already on the
Mm-hmm.
kind of questions people ask most commonly on their listings. So we can take some of those top ones to train it and give those golden sets firstly. In terms of evals, it will be important to ask questions constantly, get to failure immediately. That would be my target. See where it's failing. The target of the AI is to just give information openly and transparently without hallucinating, right? Because we have all of this data already, the scope for it hallucinating or going wrong is very low. The only chance where that comes in is where users ask very outlandish questions. People can be rude also. People can curse at it or talk down at it. In such cases, it should respond with a definitive failure state that, hey, sorry, I can't help you with this. Maybe immediately recommend a customer contact information or immediately connect it with a user, actual associate directly. So eval target would be to just get it to failure, and wherever it's failing, have a response ready and send it to an associate without wasting time and cost for us as well.
Okay. Um, what are some of the systemic limitations that you see in this?
What do you mean? Like how systemic limitations? How exactly?
Whatever you have designed so far,
Hmm.
using including AI and the data set that you have, what do you think are some of the, just write down 5 system limitations that you would want to be careful for.
Okay, sure. All right. So in cases of listings where there is no data, or specifically for newer experiences, the recommendation engine may not pull those up specifically. They might get neglected initially until there is proper data available.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Both of our models cannot perform any agentic actions as well right now. They're just purely information language models that just talk back and forth. They won't be able to. So that needs to be made clear on the chat system itself that, hey, this is just to ask information. It cannot do bookings or modify bookings for you at this stage. The models can hallucinate if they're asked very outlandish questions,
Mm-hmm.
uh, things that aren't relevant to any of the data. Things like, oh, should I consider something else? Should I go and not book here? Should I use some other app to book? Questions like that will probably hallucinate. So it needs to stop there immediately. Um, Another system limitation here is that both the AI and our entire platform as a whole relies a lot on data provided by vendors and the user. So if any of these fail or are incorrect at any point, we are in a big trouble spot. And specifically, one area that I keep thinking of is if the user has selected a city that has no experiences that match their this thing, then the results that come up will be extremely relevant to them overall. And there's also not a lot of room for upselling. Generally, on travel experiences, you want to anchor and constantly move them upwards, right? Like, oh, how about consider this slightly more luxurious experience and things like that. But the way we've designed it and who we've designed it for doesn't have a lot of room for upselling as such. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Rohan. I think this was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay.
Uh, how do you think? How did it go?
Not so good. I think I could have done much better at many points. Especially the technical part, I wasn't thinking of a lot. I wasn't thinking in that direction. So that is something I didn't know. But I otherwise okay. Can do better.
Yeah. So, because in the outline they have told you that you'll
Hmm.
be using whiteboard discussion to have end-to-end solution, right? You need to talk about user flows, data inputs, model interaction, system limitation,
Hmm.
trade-offs, and the right answers, right?
Hmm.
We did not get to the feasibility of build and buy
Hmm.
decision, but
Hmm.
overall, your user flow, your data inputs, your
Hmm.
interactions, and AI, I
Hmm.
think I'll have some feedback there, right?
Sure. Hmm.
Uh, if you can quickly share your doc that you created with me, I'll just walk you through each
Sure.
of the steps where the
Hmm.
feedback is.
Sure.
So when you start here, right,
Hmm.
um, I would always scope down the problem at the start.
Okay.
Only focus on the user side
Hmm.
so that you are not dealing with um, a lot of variables, like the vendor part is taken care of, right?
Okay.
That was the
Hmm.
first feedback, right?
Hmm.
And then before you decide your problem, add your goal of the problem as a measurable thing. It can be either engagement, 6 months, 7 month, whatever,
Hmm.
12 month. What is your revenue or adoption target, right?
Hmm.
That could have been better
Hmm.
at this point.
Okay.
Once you have done this, I would want to see here your objective criteria of prioritization. Like on what basis are you prioritizing these problems? By the way, I love this. The prioritization that you did was great. But on
Hmm.
what basis are you prioritizing these? Like, is this your subjective understanding or is there something that you are trying to get deep at? Right?
I think it was subjective here. How would you do it objectively, if you don't mind?
Just on basis on the goal that this can get this max revenue, medium,
Okay.
high,
Right.
medium, low revenue,
Right.
something
Okay.
of that type.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I think solutions, I loved it. This could have gone out if it was not in scope, like at the start
Hmm.
itself, if the scope was removed, right?
Right.
Now, when you come to the design part, right?
Hmm.
Um, these are too many parameters for you to start off with.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
when I create a user flow, I
Hmm.
would ideally, the best way to do this is I would create, let's say, a table like this, right?
Hmm.
And so that I always have scope of expanding on any question that the interviewer asks,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So user step,
Hmm.
data labels,
Hmm.
primary key,
Hmm.
if I have any APIs or if there is any AI interaction,
Got it.
right? Now, if you look at this and you say, okay, there is a sign up.
Hmm.
So I will have Google
Hmm.
sign up and I'll call a Google API key here,
Hmm.
right? And what I'm generating here is the primary key of user ID,
Got it. Hmm.
right? And then onboarding, and here there is no AI, so this is not applicable. And you can color code, uh, probably there is format, yeah. Then onboarding, so user details, and here you will have user ID, your
Hmm.
tags, and your preferences,
Hmm.
and first choice of city.
Hmm.
And this would be your input params to your AI model.
Hmm.
You see, your entire design discussion can happen
Hmm. Yeah, it's
directly
much
here,
more than.
right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
then you had pick the city, you
Hmm.
had interact with agent or
Hmm.
interact with AI chatbot, and finally you had booking.
Hmm.
So here you will have your um, pick the artisans.
Hmm.
So you will get the vendor ID,
Hmm.
user ID, and ranking. Ranking will be the output ranking from AI model, right? And you can also say here the AI model that we are using works on a semantic match of tags.
Hmm.
This output just gives right filters to be
Hmm.
applied.
Got it.
This is a user query is the input,
Hmm.
user query, and there is no primary key here, there is no use of data. You can say,
Hmm.
okay, if there is a rag, I can call a rag for user search, or
Hmm.
if there is, if you are storing user chats, you can store the user chats and retrieve it from here. And you can
Hmm.
say here we'll have a full-fledged either an API based chat GPT
Hmm.
4o mini model, right?
Hmm.
Working with interface as chat on the
Hmm.
user flow. And
Got
here
it.
you'll have your data label would be booking ID, and your this is your primary key, and your
Hmm.
foreign key is your user ID is your foreign key, and vendor ID is your foreign key.
Got it. Hmm.
This is ideal way of solving a lot of technical depth without actually uh, going
Going.
into, yeah. And I would ideally use tabs much better, right? One
Okay.
of the question that I had asked you was how can you probably write the prompt so that you can just use those prompts to get your screens ready,
Or. Hmm.
right? So you will have one more where you are just saying prompts for end-to-end prototype,
Got it.
and you can keep writing prompts here, like for onboarding
Hmm.
screen, user should be able to pick from Google login
Hmm.
versus phone number, right?
Hmm.
And then user on onboarding on this is sign up screen, sorry. Sign up screen, user on onboarding screen should select their preference of experiences. So you give these prompts and then say at the end you
Hmm.
can say use the below
Hmm.
screen by screen workflow to give me a detailed prompt for lovable that
Hmm.
I can use to create a working prototype.
Right.
And while you are explaining this screen one by one, you can keep writing one prompt here itself. So your
Hmm.
screens are also ready. And by the time you end up explaining this entire architectural view, you can copy this prompt, run this in GPT, and
Hmm.
your end-to-end prototype can also start spinning up.
One doubt I have is key
Yep.
prompt. What point do I come up with it? Because it takes a little time to type it out in even
So
the
when you're
prompt in.
defining your user flow, right, when you're going through screen
Hmm.
by screen, you explain this component and then you write one line of prompt here for the screen.
Okay. Okay.
Then you go ahead and write the second onboarding screen because when you're brainstorming, ideally
Hmm.
you know what are all the functionalities that you'll have on the screen.
Hmm.
What all API calls you'll have, what all databases you have, what all AI interactions you'll have, right?
Hmm.
And in this, you can just also say, make sure to capture. the data for user ID as primary key,
Got
right?
it. Hmm.
And on this, you can say on the chatbot screen, use user tags and preferences
Hmm.
given by AI. In this experience,
Hmm.
one you should have is why this is right
Hmm.
choice for you in 3 to 4 key bullet points. This was your idea, right?
Correct.
And the second one is to know more,
Hmm.
chat with this AI agent. So you are while you are designing your screens itself, like in a 1 hour interview to create maximum impact, this
Hmm.
this will help you a lot. Like your entire data input, your model interaction, your system, and then you can run this prompt.
Right.
I would in fact split this document as problem and scoping, and your
Hmm.
entire this till this part, which is your part A, goes
Should
into
go.
this.
ठीक है. Hmm.
And the second part, I'll say now we'll go into the technical design of solution,
Understood.
which is your part B. This is your part A. So your collateral should also look like, oh, you can really solve at pace with a lot of value, right?
Hmm.
I loved your approach, AI implementation, RAG, semantic search, fantastic explanation. Golden set evaluations also good. Evaluations, you can say, okay, I will work on three type of evaluations,
Hmm.
which is rule based,
Hmm.
hallucination detection,
Hmm.
and type all these out. Like what happened after your data flow
Right.
diagram, you stop typing.
हाँ. Right.
So I don't know what is like it's coming off the head. Just keep typing. It gives you also a structural way of thinking.
Hmm.
Hallucination detection and helpfulness,
Hmm.
or language or politeness check. These are
Okay.
different type of help evals that you have run. But if you type it to the person who doesn't know it, they will really see your depth.
Makes sense.
Similarly, if you in the end type your system limitations, right? I loved all your system limitations, which was no data, how will the AI work? Right? No
Hmm.
agentic actions. We need to tell our users that hey, it will not take actions for you. If it
Hmm.
can, for outlandish question, X probably edge
Hmm.
cases, it can
Hmm.
hallucinate,
Hmm.
right? And then both if data in is garbage, then it is garbage in, garbage out,
Hmm.
right?
Correct.
And
Hmm.
finally, no room for upselling, which is a business system
Hmm.
limitation. Fantastic. You really nailed it. So I think overall you're doing great. It's more about for these, how do you use best of the 45 minutes that you have?
Yeah.
Plus, how do you like land that, hey, I understand all this tech. This is what you're probably looking for, and I will solve it accordingly for you.
Correct. Perfect. This is very helpful. One thing that I have constant problem with is कि how much time do I ask for that? I'm very nervous to ask for time. उस चक्कर में मैं कुछ लिख भी नहीं पाता ठीक से because I'm like, oh, I'm taking too much time. I feel that's a constant battle because at every step I do need 1 to 2 minutes to think before I talk.
Yeah,
वरना
that's okay. I would always say whatever you are thinking or whatever you're brainstorming on, do it
hmm,
on the doc. Make it a habit of making it on the doc.
whatever, like even the rough points,
Yes,
because
even the
I
rough point.
write down first and then like
Yeah, because see, if you're typing all this, ideally you don't need all this.
right, correct.
When you will start typing, you will realize, oh, I'm making the list too long. Like, do I
Hmm,
really need to do it? Otherwise, you'll end up thinking. See, whatever you write here, if it does not make sense, you can always go ahead and delete it. And
correct.
end. Like I've typed, I've brainstormed on all of this, but I will not keep this. I will only keep this much because see, for the interviewer, only this much matters.
Correct. And
So you can always delete it. Make that a habit.
ठीक है. And is it okay to not be talking while we're typing?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yes. Of course. You type it out, lay out your entire structure, and then read them through it.
ठीक है. Fine. Perfect. I think that's it. Anything else that we need to go over?
No. I think you are good. Just try to make maximum of the time that you have, and
हाँ,
should be good.
ठीक है. Perfect. Thank
Cool.
you so much, Arun sir, once again.
Yeah,
Thank you
all
so
the
much.
best.
I think,
Focus on these tech parts because they have specifically
ah,
given. So make sure that you're showing that you know all this. It's not we have practiced all of this. It's nothing fancy.
hmm,
It's only about showing it on the paper.
correct. ठीक है. Fine. I'll do that.
Cool.
Great. Thank you so much,
Chalo,
sir. I
all the
think
best. Let me
I
know how it goes. Yeah. Bye.